I'm back with another self-awareness tool. My name is Brenda Lynn Kirenge. I'm an MC storyteller and coach. And like I told you, the vision is simple: to make authentic living a lifestyle. And how are we going to do this if we are all self-aware and actively seeking out ways to become more and more self-aware? So we spoke about journaling, we spoke about personality tests. But because we spoke about personality tests, I need to talk about this particular test, because this particular test changed my life. It completely turned my life 360 degrees. I remember when I'd just gotten into the journaling, and I'm journaling every day. I got to a point where I would do like free handwriting, and I would ask questions and I would get answers, download information just from journaling. And I'm writing and all the answers are coming. So this one time I was curious. I said, okay, now I want to know. I want to know why I attract certain kinds of people, or why I'm attracted to certain kinds of partners. I wanted to know, why do I have the sexual fantasies that I have? Do you see how deep we had gotten into the whole journaling and self-awareness? It was crazy, crazy, guys. But anyway, so this particular journaling session led me to understand something, because I journaled and I was downloading information, and before you know it, I am reading about attachment theory. Guys, this was 2018. Like, right now, you probably have heard about attachment theory, but if you have not, then keep watching. Do not subscribe, do not like, do not share, do not even comment. Just watch. If you like what you watch, you can comment. Okay, so I discovered attachment theory. Guys, my life changed. Attachment theory is quite simple. There's this guy called John. He has a B name, which is really hard for me to pronounce, but something like Bobby or Bobley, whatever, guys. But anyway, Uncle John is a psychologist from the 60s and 70s. So Uncle John creates this theory called attachment theory, where he realizes that the relationship between a child and their primary caregiver, or whoever is taking care of them, or their attachment figure, directly has an impact on how that child relates as an adult. And so he calls this theory the attachment theory. Okay. So I was like, tell me more. Now there comes Auntie Mary. Auntie Mary Ainsworth is following up on this research done by Uncle John, yes? So Auntie Mary is like, okay, we need to categorize these attachment styles. Then, if you're saying that there are relationships, there are ways these kids are attached to their primary caregivers, what are the categories? Are you telling me that I am relating with people based on how I related with my primary caregiver or my attachment figure when I was young? Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. Which attachment styles are these? Let me even, before I even tell you about these styles, before I even break them down, let me tell you what Auntie Mary did. So Auntie Mary does a very simple experience, very interesting experience. Gets these kids, babies, children, puts them in a room, and they're observing them, yeah? Then gets their caregivers, their parents, and they are also in that room. Then one by one, she gets strangers into the room and takes out the parent. Then, after some time, brings back the parent, the stranger gets out. In all this, they are observing how the child is responding to the environment and what's happening and things like that. And so that is how they come up with these different attachment styles, because the children are now responding in different ways. Some children maybe cry when the parent leaves, others continue playing, others, when the strangers are around, they are very, very uncomfortable. They're like, oh my God, who are these people? Others have separation anxiety, others have, the children all responded in different ways. So that's how we come up with these 4 attachment styles. The first one is called secure attachment style. It's really how the child responds to their primary caregiver in a very stable, secure manner. For instance, the children who displayed secure attachment styles were very independent. Even when the parent left, they continued to play. Even when the stranger's there, they are very trusting. They are also able to explore the environment. They were able to run around, cry, do whatever they wanted, because they were not even feeling like they were judged. They were very confident that no matter what, their parent or caregiver or attachment figure is going to be there for them. Securely attached individuals have had very consistent and responsive caregiving from their attachment figures or caregivers or parents. Yes. So now we are done with the first attachment style. There's this category of insecure attachment styles. Under this category, she identified three attachment styles. The first one was anxious ambivalent, sometimes known as anxious preoccupied. Actually, a lot of people know it as anxious ambivalent or resistant, but shall use the word that's commonly used, anxious preoccupied. Now, let me tell you about these ones. These particular children have had such an inconsistent relationship with their caregivers and attachment figures that they were either anxious, they were angry, they were not sure if the parents will come back, if they'll not, if they'll show them love, if they'll not. So they were just there, anxious, ambivalent. Yeah. The children became very clingy and displayed emotions of anger. And then they became very dependent. The anxious, preoccupied attached individual has a very high fear of rejection. Like that's their greatest fear of rejection and being left behind. So they are very clingy. We've already talked about that. Yeah, so that means that the relationship between the parents or the caregiver and this infant was very on and off. Like today it's there, tomorrow it's not. That is the second one. Then we have the third one. For those of us who have read about attachment styles and we know this is the trickiest. This is the crazy one, yeah. Now the dismissive avoidant attachment style, Bambi, that child, the parents were really neglecting the child's needs to the point that the child stops caring. The child is like, man, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to hurt my emotions. So this child blocks off emotions. They don't care. They become extremely self reliant, extremely independent. Like, your presence as a parent or an attachment figure doesn't mean anything to them. So a lot of these kids, when the parents would come back to the room, their emotions would not change. They would continue doing what they're doing. No emotion, no changes, because in their minds they're like, well, I don't want to expect so much from you. Like they're not even depending on the attachment figure as a source of support or security. So these kids basically become hyper independent at a very young age. And the reason why the dismissive avoidant children become that way is because either the parent is not available or has been distant for a very long time, or they were just never there. It happens for different circumstances. So now you have a third attachment style, which is dismissive avoidant. The fourth attachment style, called fearful avoidant, was introduced by Mary, the other Mary that I told you about. Yes. So this other Mary introduced what we call fearful avoidant, but also known as disorganized or disoriented. Now, fearful avoidant basically combines the preoccupied kids who display signs of preoccupied, anxious preoccupied, and dismissive avoidant. And so you have some who display both, like they're clingy, they're dependent, they're very dependent, but at the same time, when they get close, they push you away. When people get close to them, they push them away. Why? Because they sort of want both. They want closeness, they want intimacy, they want validation. They're like the anxious preoccupied or ambivalent, but at the same time, they do not want to get so close because they are afraid of being hurt. So they push you away. So they also display characteristics of a dismissive avoidant. And then they are emotionally unstable. One moment they like something, one moment they know, one moment they want it, one moment they don't. So they're very emotionally unstable. And usually these ones are as a result of a very abusive relationship between caregivers or attachment figures and them as infants. So when an infant is abused over and over again, or there's just like extreme inconsistency with the primary caregiver or attachment figure, that child will develop a fearful avoidant attachment style. And so the result of these different attachment styles is that now we have adults with this kind of attachment styles, and that is how they relate, and that is how they're able to uh, f- go about their day-to-day relationships. What is attachment?